Hello everyone, welcome to the Solo Gaming Spotlight. Today we're going to be learning how to play Marvel Champions. We're going to be using Spider-Man and we are going to take on Rhino. So the first thing we need to do is get set up. Go ahead and grab your Spider-Man card. It's a double-sided card. On the opposite side is Peter Parker. Let's go ahead and put that out, Peter Parker side up. And do note at the bottom of the card it has your hit points and your hand size. Let's go ahead and grab the hit point dial and set them to our hit point value for Peter Parker. That is 10, and his hand size is 6. Do note that when you flip him over to Spider-Man, his hand size changes down to 5. The next thing we're going to do is go ahead and set aside a couple cards. We're going to set aside his obligation first, eviction notice. And notice the back side of the card, it's orange. This is going to end up going into the villain deck. We're going to set that up shortly, but for right now, just set it to the side. You're also going to set aside Spider-Man's nemesis, Vulture. You're going to set aside his side scheme, highway robbery, and a couple of his treachery cards, the Vulture's plans, and then 2 copies of Sweeping Swoop. These also have an orange back, and you will only see Vulture if a certain card comes out during gameplay. You will not see him every game. Next thing you need to do is go ahead and grab your starter pack and go ahead and shuffle that together and put that out in front of you. Your setup would look like this. Put all your tokens and status cards within reaching distance. Next, we need to go ahead and grab a villain for this playthrough. I'm going to go ahead and be playing against Rhino. We're going to grab Rhino 1 and Rhino 2 cards. We're not going to be using Rhino 3. That's for expert mode. We're not going to worry about that. We're going to go ahead and put Rhino 1 on top of Rhino 2. And we're going to grab his main scheme, the break-in, and put it on side 1A. We'll come back to that in a minute. For right now, let's grab the villain's hit point counter and set it to 14. That is Rhino's starting health. We now follow the setup instructions and advance to stage 1B. However, before we do that, let's set up the encounter deck, and let me show you how that's done. We're going to grab the Rhino cards, the standard set, and the recommended bomb scare. We're also going to grab the obligation card we set aside. The standard set has 7 cards. You can find the word standard in the bottom left corner of the cards. The bomb scare set has 6 cards. That's also in the bottom left corner. And then the same with the Rhino cards. There's a total of 21. You're going to shuffle 5 through 21 with the bomb scare standard and the obligation card. Cards 1, 2, and 3 are Rhino himself. They don't get shuffled in. And card 4 is his main scheme, the break-in, that also doesn't get shuffled in. Right now, your setup should look something like this. And we're going to draw cards up to our starting hand size, which for Peter Parker is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can go ahead and take a mulligan if we'd like. We're going to look at all our cards. In the top left of the card is how much the card is going to cost us to play it. And if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of the card, it has a resource. That is worth 1. So in order to play For Justice, which costs 2, we would have to discard 2 resources and put them in our discard pile, and then we could play the card. We've got our Web Shooter, which is a good card. We play it, and it's going to give us 3 counters. We can use once per turn as a resource to pay for other cards. So let's keep that card. For Justice, we get to remove 3 threat from a scheme. We're not going to have any threat on a scheme, so we're going to get rid of that. Great Responsibility. When any amount of threat will be placed on a scheme, you take it as damage instead. We're also going to get rid of this. Now, I'm going to teach you how to play as we go. But in case you pull these cards on your starting hand, you'll at least know what they do. Great Responsibility. There's a second copy. We're going to get rid of that. An Interrogation Room. After you defeat a minion, you can exhaust it to remove 1 threat from a scheme. That doesn't have any sort of counter on it, so that's not a bad idea either to have that. And then Backflip is one of my favorite cards from Spider-Man. Whenever he would take any damage, you can just play Backflip. It doesn't cost any resources, and he basically does a backflip and gets out of taking any damage, which is fantastic. So we now have 3 cards. We're going to draw back up. Those mulligan cards go in your discard pile. You don't shuffle them back into your deck. We got another copy of Backflip, a Spider Tracer, and Webbed Up. Webbed Up is very expensive, but it's a good card. Now, we follow any setup instructions on Peter Parker. He doesn't have any, so we skip this step, but other characters may have some, and then we would go ahead and take care of them now. I forgot to flip the main scheme back over to side 1B when we set up the encounter deck. No worries. Let's just go ahead and reread the flavor text. Rhino is trying to smash through the facility wall and steal a shipment of vibranium. You must stop him. If this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So if he gets 7 threat on this main scheme, we lose the game. Also, if Rhino knocks us down to 0 health, we also lose the game. The way we win is we knock Rhino all his health out. We defeat Rhino 1, and Rhino 2 comes back a little bit stronger. He'll have 15 health. So we actually have to defeat Rhino twice. Kind of think of it like him just getting knocked down, and then he comes back with a vengeance on his second card. Like they do in the comics. Let's decide which cards we're going to play. The hero goes first. Peter Parker has a special ability, generate a science resource, limit once per round. Now, I told you about the resources in the bottom left corner. There's different types of resources. Some cards require a certain type of resource. The fist, the red one, is a physical resource. The yellow, I believe it's an energy resource. And then there's a mental resource. There's also a wild resource that can be used as any of the 3. We're going to generate 1 resource, and we'll use that to play Interrogation Room, where after we defeat a minion, we can exhaust that to remove a threat from a scheme. We're going to play Web Shooter, and we'll use the Spider Tracer resource to pay for that. That'll go in our discard pile, and we get 3 counters. This turn going forward, you can use it once a turn. You would use that, and that would go down to 2 counters, and then once it runs out, it'll go away. We can't afford to play Webbed Up or Backflip. Webbed Up will allow us to stun Rhino, and the stun tells you right on it. Next time that he's going to attack, we would discard this instead. It's like a double stun. Not only do we stun him, we web him up. So it takes away 2 of his actions. It's an expensive card, and we're not going to play it. It's the end of our turn if I choose to stay in Peter Parker form, but I'm not. I'm going to flip over to Spider-Man form. I have the ability to do a basic maneuver here, which I can use 1 thwart, where I would take 1 threat off of a scheme, there aren't any, 2 attack, or I can do 3 defense, where I could block 3 damage of incoming attack. I'm going to attack him for 2. So we're going to hit Rhino, and he's going to go from 14 down to 12 health. And I have the option to throw away any of these cards or discard them, and then draw back up to my hand size. And that's what I'm going to do. It's the end of my turn. I'm going to refresh my cards. And now Spider-Man, his hand size is 5, whereas Peter Parker is 6. So I'm going to draw back up to 5 cards. I got a copy of Tenacity. And there we go. Spend a physical resource and discard this card to ready your hero. So that would cost me 2 to put it down, and then a 3rd one to ready Spider-Man again on my turn, because you can only exhaust him once, but Tenacity would let me do it twice. Emergency. 0 cost. When the villain schemes, reduce the amount of threat placed on the scheme by 1. You see this interrupt? It allows you to interrupt the what it describes. So when the villain schemes, that's when you can interrupt. Right now, we go to the villain's turn, and the villains are nice and easy and straightforward. Immediately look at his scheme. He's going to add +1 threat per person, or per player. So he's automatically going to go up each and every turn towards that 7 to beat us. He's continued to pound on those walls and trying to steal that vibranium. And when he gets to 7, he successfully does it. There's going to be a push and pull back and forth with us trying to manage that while we're also trying to take him down. Now, Rhino, after that, is going to look to see what form we're in. We're Spider-Man, so he's going to attack. If we were in Peter Parker mode, he wouldn't pay any attention. He would go about his merry old business, continuing to try to steal that vibranium. But because we are in Spider-Man form, he's going to attack. He starts with a base 2 attack. Then we're going to go ahead and flip out one of his encounter cards. Let me just make sure I shuffled this deck. I know I shuffled Spider-Man's. I may not have given Rhinos a good shuffle. Just to make sure we're not getting card 2, then card 3, then card 4, then card 5 of a certain set. We flip this out. On the very bottom, the only thing you pay attention to when he attacks is on the very bottom, there may be some, I'll have to shuffle again, but I want to give you oh my goodness, an example. A little triangle. Like if this card would have came out, it's going to add the amount of triangles on the bottom right of the card to his attack. So if this card would have came out, it would have been 3. Remember, we don't pay attention to any of the text. There is an exception if this has an asterisk down at the bottom. Then there'll be a special instruction that is intended for an extra little thing to go on with his attack. But we got a 0 here. This still goes to the discard pile. So it's going to be 2 attack incoming. Oh, man, I really don't want to waste a backflip on 2 attack, but I will. We'll spend the backflip. When you would take any amount of damage from an attack, prevent all of that damage. Now, Spider-Man has a special ability called Spider Sense. If you remember the cartoons, the Spider Sense would tingle. Interrupt. When the villain initiates an attack against you, draw a card. So as soon as he goes to attack, we get to draw a card. We got a surveillance team. I may end up playing that, so we'll see what on our turn what that is. Next thing Rhino's going to do, he's going to flip out an encounter card. So you're going to increase the amount of threat. Rhino's either going to attack or he's going to scheme. The scheme would be the same thing. If I was in Peter Parker form, we would flip it. We would look at the amount of triangles and we would add that amount to his scheme value, and that's how much threat we would add to the scheme. Then we flip out an encounter card, and we have Stampede. There's several different kinds of cards. This is a treachery. And this has a changes depending on what form you're in. If you're an alter ego, it's going to gain surge. It just means you put it in the discard pile and you draw another card. It's kind of a whiff. When revealed in your hero, Rhino attacks you. If a character is damaged by this attack, that character is stunned. So he's going to attack us again. Means his 2 attack is coming. He's going to get to go ahead and flip one of these over. Remember, he's initiating an attack. We get to draw a card. We got strength. It has 2 physical resources. So this card here counts as 2 resources, which is fantastic. Let's see what happens. Another 0. 2 damage, but we're going to use our other backflip to not take any damage and not get stunned. That's it for Rhino's turn. It's going to go back to our turn. First thing we do is figure out what we want to play here. And I think we may play that webbed up for 4. It's going to cost us 4. We're going to play the 2 strength. We'll play these 2 cards as well. We'll play these 4 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4. To play webbed up. You can only do this in hero form, so you can only do this when you are Spider-Man. You couldn't play this card as Peter Parker. When attached enemy would attack, discard webbed up instead. then stun the enemy. So let's throw the webbed up card over top of them. We web them up to the wall. And let's go ahead and hit him for 2 more damage. She's going to go from 12 down to 10. Our turn's over, so we're going to go ahead and refresh. We're going to draw back up to 5 cards. 2. First aid, that allows us to heal 2 damage from any character. 3. Black Cat, that's fantastic. 4. Jessica Jones, another ally. 5. For Justice. Remove 3 threat from a scheme. We'll be getting close to where that'll come in and be an effective card for us to play. Our turn's over. We're going to go back to same routine for Rhino. Add 1. We're up to 2 out of 7 threat now. He's going to attack us now. Instead of attacking, we discard it, and then we stun him. And that, again, is the next time the character would attack, discard the status card instead. So basically, he got double stunned. Now we flip out our encounter card. A Hydra Bomber has come out, and it has a special instruction when revealed. So when you flip it and it comes out, this will trigger. You're revealing this card. Choose to either take 2 damage or place 1 threat on the main scheme. We'll take 2 damage. Spider-Man's down to 8 health. Now we have the Hydra Bomber. So, if there's any minions in play, we add the threat for the villain's turn. We add the threat, then Rhino attacks, then his minions get to attack. Then you do the encounter card. He is the encounter card, so he doesn't get to attack this round, but next turn he will if he's still around. He has 2 health. Back to our turn. And we would like to get Black Cat out there. So let's pull these down a little bit. Move this up. I like to put my allies near Spider-Man and then my support and my upgrade cards below. We need to pay 2 resources for Black Cat. Let's play our For Justice card. And let's use our web shooter. We'll exhaust that, and this will go from 3 counters down to 2 counters. And that will allow us to play Jessica Jones and First Aid to put out our surveillance team. This is going to come out with 3 counters. And we can exhaust surveillance team and remove 1 snoop counter from it to remove 1 threat from a scheme. We're going to go ahead and do that. We'll exhaust it, bring it down, and that allows us to remove a threat from a scheme. We'll get rid of that threat. And now I'm going to use Spider-Man to attack. He's going to do 2 damage. We're going to hit the Hydra Bomber and knock the Hydra Bomber out. Now the interrogation room. After I defeat a minion, I can exhaust interrogation room to remove 1 threat from a scheme. So we'll go ahead and trigger that and go ahead and get rid of that threat there. Black Cat, she can thwart or attack. Oh, I'm sorry. After you play Black Cat, discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Add each card with a printed science resource discarded this way to your hand. We lost a Spider Tracer, and we ended up getting a swinging web kick. So this will be in our hand. We would have kept this for next round anyway instead of playing it. If she was to thwart, we would have to exhaust her, and she would have been able to take 1 off. And then there's this little mark right here that's she'll take a consequential damage for taking that action. There is no consequential damage for her attacking, so we're going to go ahead and do 1 attack damage with her on Rhino. We have Rhino down to 9 health. Our turn's over. Let's go ahead and refresh everything here. Draw back up to 5. We got another swinging web kick. Power of Justice, a Haymaker, and Mockingbird. Wow, we have a handful of attack cards here pretty much. Except for our ally. Let's go to Rhino. He's still working towards getting that vibranium. He's going to go to attack. He is stunned. So he's not going to attack. He's not going to initiate an attack because he's stunned. And now we flip out the encounter card. Oh, dreaded Shadow of the Past. I'm glad this came out. When revealed, reveal your set-aside nemesis. This is the card that will get Vulture to come out. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring Vulture out right away when your set-aside nemesis minion and put it into play. Engage with you. He comes right out here and he's engaged with us. Reveal your set-aside nemesis side scheme. That's going to be highway robbery. That's going to have its own when revealed effect as well. I'm going to put that there for now because we're gonna get to it in a minute. And put it into play. Shuffle the rest of your set-aside nemesis encounter set into the encounter deck. If your nemesis minion does not enter the game this way, this card gains Surge. Well, he certainly did. So that card's over. Let's go ahead and shuffle these in. I like to just mix them up right from the get-go. Separate them and then shuffle them. Make sure they're not near each other. Shuffle them up, then we'll follow the when revealed instructions on highway robbery and give you a breakdown of what that does. Highway robbery. Notice that has +3 when this comes out for an attack. When revealed, each player places a random card from their hand face down here. So he's basically going to take one of our cards too. Let's shuffle that up. And let's take the middle one. He's got it hostage. 3 threat per player. So it's going to come out. And we have to remove 3 threat from it to get this out of play. In the meantime, while it is in play, it's going to get +1 acceleration counter. Which means at the beginning of Rhino's turn, instead of just adding +1, he's going to automatically add 2. He's going to work on getting that vibranium a lot faster. When defeated, return each face-down card here to its owner's hand. So he's got a hostage. Let's see, is it Mockingbird? It is not Mockingbird. He's got, I think, the Haymaker card. So that is it for Rhino's. No, it's not. Vulture came out and he has this quick strike. And it tells you right on there what it is, which is fantastic. After this minion engages you, or engages your hero, it attacks. So he's going to attack. He has a 3 attack value. He's doing 3 damage. Now the minions, they don't flip over a boost card. That's what it's called. It's called a boost card to look at the triangles to see how much extra damage they do. He's going to do a 3 attack. I can... I think I will. I'm going to go ahead and defend with Spider-Man and defend 3 of that attack. It is not the villain. When the villain initiates an attack against you, you draw a card. That's not the villain. It is my nemesis. All right, that is it for the villain's turn. It's coming back to Spider-Man. And we're jammed up a little bit. I would have loved to use a swinging web kick against Rhino for 8 damage. It's a fantastic card. I got to get rid of Vulture. I would like to get Mockingbird there, but I think I have to use one of these web kicks. The Power of Justice, allows you to double the number of resources this card generates while playing for a Justice card, which is a yellow card. You see how it has the yellow? Yellow. It also says in the bottom right, Justice. It's yellow, border, Justice. Let's use that as one resource. Choose Mockingbird as a second resource. Web Shooter to generate another resource to do a swinging web kick. And we're going to fly from the side of a building and come smacking Vulture right out of play. Bang. So we hit him for 3. That'll take him out. Or we hit him for 8 damage. He has 4. We waste the other 4 damage. That kind of stinks. But interrogation room. After you defeat a minion, you get to exhaust interrogation room to remove a threat from a scheme. We'll do that. We're going to remove one from here, so we can get rid of this, if possible. We're also going to use our surveillance team. Use a snoop counter to get rid of a threat here. And then we're going to have to use Black Cat to do that last thwart damage. But she is going to take a consequential damage. I'm having trouble with that word. 1 damage. She only has 2 health. To get rid of this third threat on there, this will go away. It'll go to the discard pile. We'll get our card back. A Haymaker. That's all we can do this turn. That's it. Let's go ahead and refresh. Draw back up to 5. Got the Power of Justice again, but the interrogation room, max 1 per player, so we can't even use that. We got a double energy here, so we may end up using that swinging web kick to hit Rhino pretty hard, and maybe even hit him with a Haymaker. Let's have Rhino take his turn. He's gonna add another threat onto the break-in. Work towards that, getting that vibranium out of there. And he's gonna go ahead and attack us. He's gonna initiate the attack, so we're gonna draw a card. Another surveillance team. To attack, I do have the option of defending. I would do that before he attacks, and I am gonna do that. I'm gonna go ahead and defend against his attack. To attack, +1. Remember, we only pay attention to the boost on the boost icons on the boost thing. He does a total of 3 attack damage. Minus our 3 defense, he doesn't land any damage. He is going to put out an encounter card now. And Rhino is hard to keep down. When revealed, Rhino heals 4 damage, which he certainly can. He goes from 9 back up to 13. If no damage is healed this way, this card would gain Surge. Means we would put it in the discard pile and flip out another card. All right, that's it for Rhino's turn. Maybe we can have a decent turn here. Let's hit him pretty hard. Let's hit him with a swinging web kick. It's going to cost us 3. We're going to use our energy for 2, and we'll use our interrogation room. And we're going to plow into the side of his head. Take him from 13 down to 5. Smack. Do we get the surveillance team out there? We got to get that threat in check instead of punching him for 3 more damage. Let's play the Power of Justice. Remember, we double the number of resources this card generates while paying for a Justice yellow card. I forgot to tell you what the green is. Green is wild, so you can use this as any type of resource. When a card asks for a certain type of resource, you can use a wild. So we're going to pay for the wild, which generates 2 because we're going to be paying for surveillance team. And our surveillance team here, we can exhaust it and remove 1 snoop counter. We'll remove 1 from this and 1 from this. This goes into the discard pile, and that allows us to remove a threat for each one. So 1 for each card. We bring this down from 3 to 1. Let's use Black Cat to attack for 1 point of damage on Rhino. Bring him down to 4. Didn't defeat any minions that turn, so let's refresh. Draw back up to 5. Aunt May. Enhanced Spider Sense. This allows us, when a treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, we can cancel its when revealed effect, which can be very powerful, especially with our web shooter there. 4, we got a Genius, a double resource card, and then 1 more card, a Swinging Web Kick. That allows us to do 8 damage. He's got 4 there. I think I know what we're going to do here this turn. Anyway, Rhino's going. It's his turn. He's going to go 1. He's going to attack, so he's initiating attack. Nick Fury. That's a good card, too. We're going to have to check out our options on our turn. I'll show you what they do. Rhino. 2. We're not going to block it. 4 damage. So we're going to go from 8 health down to 4 health. And now we flip the encounter card. Charge. Attached to Rhino. When Rhino attacks, the attack gains overkill. That means if we were to have Black Cat block it for us, normally all the damage goes to Black Cat. She would go to the discard pile as long as it took out her remaining health, which she only has 1 health left, so it will. The overkill is going to, any extra damage is going to go to us anyway, so we can't even get out of this. So this is an attachment on Rhino. So he's now attacking for 5, plus his boost card next turn. We really wish we had a backflip. Once he uses that, he discards it. So he's just going to charge once. It's like a special move. We may have to use Aunt May. Let's put out Aunt May. We'll spend our web shooter card to do that. We're out of counters. Our web shooter's going to go away. And let's use our surveillance team to get rid of one of these threats on him. It's so tempting to use McFury right now. I think we might. Nick Fury's going to cost 4, but he comes in. He has 2 thwart power, 2 attack power. We get to remove 2 threat from a scheme, draw 3 cards, or deal 4 damage to an enemy. At the end of the round, if Nick Fury is still in play, discard him. So we may play Nick Fury. We'll use these 4 cards, these 4 resources. The 2 on Genius, 1 on Enhanced Spider Sense, and 1 on Haymaker. We'll pay for Nick Fury to come into play. Instead of drawing 3 cards, which we normally do, we are going to deal 4 damage directly to Rhino. Bring him down to 0. That gets rid of Rhino 1. We're halfway there. Rhino 2. We're going to reset his hit points. He's got 15, so he's got 1 more than Rhino 1. He's got some special instructions for when this card is revealed. Right now we have to search the encounter deck and discard pile for the break-in and take inside scheme and reveal it, and then shuffle the encounter deck. First, let's just check our discard pile and see if that came out. It did not. So that's what a side scheme looks like. Bomb scare with a little bit of flavor. Crowd control, that's part of the bomb scare. Where is breaking and taking at? Let's look at these. We gotta Was it the next? It was the next card. Man. That's all right. It would have been a boost card. If it was already out in play, it wouldn't have triggered, but that's not the case. Let's shuffle it back up like it says. Breaking and taking. When revealed, place an additional 1 threat per player here. So instead of getting 2, it's going to get 3. Now this card is awful. 1, because it has a hazard icon, which we deal an extra encounter card during the villain phase. So instead of starting flipping 1 card at the end, we flip out 2 cards. And that is dreadful. So, we've got to get rid of that. Nick Fury came out. Let's use Nick Fury. He'll take 1 consequential damage to thwart 2. So we'll bring this from 3 down to 1. And I hate to lose Black Cat. We don't have to exhaust Black Cat, to be honest with you. We can use Spiderman to thwart 1 and get rid of this scheme, which we're going to do. Black Cat's going to go ahead and attack. Rhino's down to 14. Now we're going to go ahead and jump over to Peter Parker for him. We're going to flip over to Peter Parker. We could generate a science resource. But we don't have anything to spend it on right now. And we're going to go ahead and use Aunt May. Exhaust Aunt May to heal 4 damage from Peter Parker. So we're going to heal Peter Parker back up to 8. Aunt May must have cooked a nice good meal. That is it. We didn't defeat a minion. Our turn's over. We can't use the surveillance team, which would have been great. And at the end of the round, if Nick Fury is still in play, discard him. Now, the round is the hero goes and the villain goes. Then that is 1 round. We started off, then the villain goes. So after the villain's turn, it'll be the end of the round. Let's draw back up. And now, because we're in Peter Parker form, we have a hand size of 6. We got a web shooter, the helicarrier. We'll take a look at that. Heroic Intuition gives us +1 thwart. That's 4. 5, the Avengers Mansion, another great card. And another Heroic Intuition, which there's only max 1 per player. So, Rhino's turn. Still working on that vibranium. He is not going to attack. I wonder if I shouldn't have done that. Yeah, it's okay. He's looking. We're Peter Parker. He's not going to attack. He's going to go ahead and continue trying to get to that vibranium. 1 scheme plus the boost card. 2, 3. He adds 3. He's got 5 out of 7. And we do have a 5 token here, but I plan on getting rid of that if he doesn't defeat us. Because he's going to have an encounter deck, an encounter card come out. Hydra Mercenary. He has the keyword guard. And it tells you right here, while this minion is engaged with you, you cannot attack the villain. So we have to take out the Hydra Mercenary before we can do any more damage to Rhino. That is it for Rhino's turn. Nick Fury's going to go away. I needed to heal. I couldn't. I wanted the charge to go away, attacking him. Let's see if I can get another. I don't think I have an ally to play. I don't, unfortunately. And I can't do enough damage there. I can generate a resource, though. And I'm going to use that science resource to play the web shooter. So we need thwart power. what Helicarrier does, this costs 3. You exhaust it, and we choose a player in a multiplayer game. We're solo, so it would be us. We reduce the cost, the resource cost of the next card you play by 1. So you get a 1 resource discount on whatever card you choose to play. And this costs 3. I may end up putting that into play. Avengers Mansion, another good card, but it's extremely expensive. 4, max 1 per player, and you exhaust it, and it allows you to draw another card. Given the situation, we've already used this. Let's use Aunt May to get us back up to 10. You cannot heal beyond your maximum hit point value. So we go up to 10. We already generated the 1 for the web shooter. We are going to become Spider-Man again. We're going to attack the Hydra Mercenary for 2. We're going to have Black Cat attack him for 2 and knock him out of there. Interrogation. After you defeat a minion, we exhaust this to remove a threat. We need to get rid of threat. Surveillance team. We'll use that to get rid of another threat. Rhino can be extremely tough because there's a card in the thing that allows him to scheme. And that usually is what defeats you when you're playing against Rhino. In my, at least the amount of times I've played. That'll be 1 resource. That'll be 2 resources. Let's use this. No, let's not use that. Let's go ahead and spend Heroic Intuition for 3, and we'll play Helicarrier. I'm sorry, I'm rethinking my turn here. I think that might not have been the smartest. I think instead of spending that, let's keep that and use the web shooter like I originally was going to do, because now I don't want to do that either. I was thinking I don't want to use, I want to save that swinging web kick. He's at 14 health. That's 8 damage right there. So 6 more damage, I could take him out if I can get there, if I can survive his turn. All right, let's refresh and draw back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got Daredevil. He's expensive, webbed up. Very handy card. We have Spider Sense. We can stop a treachery card. He does 2 attack. 2, 3, 4, 5, plus our 8. We would be 1 short unless we can draw a card when he initiates his attack. All right, he's going up to 4. This could be our demise here. We have all 10 of our health. He is attacking for 6 damage. Let's take it. Here we go. We have this asterisk. It doesn't add any. It stays at 6, but we have to follow this. If this activation deals damage to a friendly character, stun that character. That was just plain awful. Not only do we take 6 damage, which brings us from 10 down to 4, he's not going out without a fight. He wants that vibranium. We're down to 4, and we are stunned, which means we have to take an action, or we have to attack to get rid of that stun. So we're a couple rounds away from being able to defeat Rhino, and his threat's getting closer and closer. Let's see what his encounter card is. False Alarm, the bomb scare. When revealed, you are confused. If you're already confused, this card gains Surge. Well, we're not already confused, but we are now. So Spider-Man is in a daze. The next time his character would thwart or scheme, discard their status card instead. So the next time we go to thwart, scheme is because the villain can get it, the enemy can get it as well, and they scheme, whereas we thwart. So man, we're in a tough spot here, but it is back to our turn. I think we have to web him up. Yeah, I think we got to take the heroic intuition, daredevil, and enhanced spider sense along with one of our web shooters for 4 resources to play webbed up. Web him up to the wall. Actually, let's make it only cost 3 and hang on to our enhanced spider sense so we can cancel the treachery. Man, we don't have a way to... We need to get rid of threat. We don't have a way to do it unless we kill off Black Cat. We're not going to do that. We're going to use her to knock him down. 1 more damage. We're playing with fire here. We're going to go ahead and attack. It'll get rid of our stun status. Now we would be able to use our swinging web kick. But we're not. Let's refresh everything. We don't have any cards. So when you have to shuffle up, you just take your discard pile and you shuffle them back up. But the really awful thing about that is the villain gets an extra encounter card. So we're just going to put that there for now. It's not going to get revealed until after he attacks. That next step is for him to reveal his encounter cards because it's going to be more than 1 this turn. Man, we need how about a backflip or something. Oops. All right. 3. Oh, wow. 4, 5. Oh, this is kind of good. This is actually excellent. When any amount of threat will be placed on a scheme, you take it as damage instead. That's not that great. We're down to 4 health. All right, we gotta survive the turn and see what we can do here. He's scheming. He's automatically going up to 5. If he was to run out of his deck, we would just reshuffle it and he would get a +1 acceleration token. It means the beginning of his turn going forward, he would be adding 2 at the beginning of his turn. So it's going to pay off to have us take him out and take him out quick. Instead of, he's going to go to attack. He doesn't attack. The webbed up card goes into our discard pile and he gets a stun status. So that gives us a little bit of reprieve. Next, he's going to get an encounter card. We got to flip these over and pray for the best. Assault. Alter ego. It would gain surge, but we are a hero. The villain is going to attack us. He's stunned. He is now stunned no longer. And the final encounter card, the Vulture's Plans. When revealed, discard 1 card at random from each player's hand. Oh boy. Place 1 threat on the main scheme for each different resource type discarded this way. 3, 4, 5. Wow. Luckily, we're only, if there was multiplayers, or well, we would have to get to 14. It would 7 per player. This could be awful. The Haymaker. Our Haymaker's gone. That's 1 resource we'll be able to spend. 4 or 5, so he is up to 6. 1 more, and he steals that vibranium, and we lose 13 health. I think we got to do it anyway. Let's use the helicarrier to play a swinging web kick. It's only going to cost 2. We'll use our final web shooter resource to bring it down to a cost of 1. We really need this great responsibility card. So we'll get rid of the enhanced spider sense to play it. And we'll do 8 damage to him. From 13 down to 5. We're confused. So we have to use Black Cat. We can attack him for 2 and bring him down to 3 health. Black Cat could hit him and bring him down to 2. That Haymaker card would have been pretty handy. We would have been able to spend that and do 3 damage. We would have... No, we would have had to discard one of those cards. We would not have been able to play that. We use the swinging web kick. We have to use... We don't have to use Black Cat. I have the great responsibility card that'll stop the threat from going on to the scheme in the beginning of his turn, but if he draws any kind of card that allows him to scheme, we lose. That's a chance we're going to have to take. We're kind of in a bind here. Let's do it, man. Let's attack him for 2 more. He's down to 3 health. Black Cat. 1 more. He's down to 2 health. That's the end of our turn. Let's draw back up to 5 cards for Justice. Jessica Jones, First Aid. All right, so it's his turn. Put the threat on there. We got to play Great Responsibility, which is an interrupt. So when any amount of threat would be placed on a scheme, you take it as damage instead. So instead of 1 going there, we're going to take the damage. Great Responsibility goes away. Rhino is now going to attack. We have backflip. So 3. Woo! The villain schemes. If that was 1 card later, we would have been doomed. 3 damage. We have to play backflip to avoid taking that damage. He did initiate an attack. We do get to draw a card. Spider Tracer. And now the encounter card. Stampede. Rhino attacks you, and if a character is damaged by this attack, that character is stunned. Well, Black Cat, 3, 4, 5 damage to Black Cat. We had to use her to block that attack. Now, he initiated another attack. We do get to draw a card, even though Black Cat, we use Black Cat to block it. We still get to draw a card. That's it for Rhino's turn. And heck, we could just attack him for 2 damage and defeat Rhino. We prevented him from completing his scheme and getting the vibranium. It was a close one. And I hope you enjoyed this Learn to Play playthrough. And if so, and if you made it this far to the video, I'd appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe. It would really help the channel. And let me know down in the comments below if you would like me to continue the battle against Claw or even Ultron. Until next time.